Hey everybody, Ashley Francis here, the holistic psychotherapist, and today I'm going to talk about emotional numbness. Now this is something that comes up in my practice pretty regularly, and it absolutely breaks my heart because there are so many clients that are coming into therapy and they are highly motivated to work. They're even pretty self-aware. And then when we start to dig into some of the deep work, they start to shut down because we start to reach places that might feel completely foreign to them, or they might have some fear around what's coming up because there was a lot of stuff there that they didn't even know was there to begin with. So I want to have a conversation today, one, to provide some clarity around emotional numbness, but also to reduce the stigma around it and to reduce the shame that it's not your fault. You can't hold yourself responsible for the things that you didn't know were there. And good therapeutic techniques are designed to get to the things that you didn't know were there, that are in your subconscious. They're driving your thoughts and feelings at any point in time. You're just not aware of them. So how could it possibly be your fault? So we're going to talk about what emotional numbness is, how it develops, where it comes from in this part. And then in the second part, we're going to talk about why it's so hard to treat. And then also I will run you through some actual practices so that you can start doing this right away and start getting some relief right now and start to uncover some of the things that you didn't even know were there. So let's hop in. So the technical term for emotional numbness is alexithymia. And this is the inability to recognize feelings in yourself, in others, or both. Now, keep in mind that to qualify for alexithymia proper, most people don't, because it's something that really refers to the overall inability to recognize feelings. And most of us have a rudimentary understanding of what we feel when we feel it and being able to recognize feelings in other people as well. However, it can be really helpful to know that, number one, you're not alone. If this is something that you struggle with on the more moderate to severe side, there's actually a name for it, and then emotional numbness kind of comes out of this technical term. However, most of my clients are not suffering from alexithymia. If you are, it's no shame, because these exercises and explanations apply to absolutely everyone. However, most of my clients have a pretty good running understanding of what their emotions are and how to identify them in other people. They just need some extra help. So let's talk about some of the specific things around emotional numbness to determine if that is something that you are in fact struggling with. So the first is that you have trouble identifying feelings, right? So you may have a sensation in your body, or you may have a knowing that I'm feeling frustrated or I'm feeling angry, but I can't really figure out what's behind all that. I have a feeling that maybe there's more to it, but I'm having a really hard time identifying where is this coming from? Why do I feel this way? So there's some trouble around that. The next is that there is low self-awareness. And this is really the ability to be able to evaluate yourself. There are many people out there that engage in introspection. They think about their thoughts and feelings, but maybe it falls short. There's also people out there that don't do it whatsoever, not at all. They're just kind of running from one thing to another without even really engaging in very much introspection, so they don't tend to know themselves very well. The next is that it can be really difficult to decipher emotions from bodily sensations. So the example that I like to use here is hunger. Right? So when you're feeling hunger, also known as hangry, you might be feeling angry, but it can be difficult to put that together, that the reason why you're feeling that way is because your blood sugar is low and you actually need food. And next is that you tend to be logical versus abstract. You tend to be very in your head. Maybe other people have even given you that feedback before, that you tend to be very logical and are trying to figure out things through reason. And this probably serves you very well in many environments, especially at work. However, when it comes to relationships, it might be a little bit more difficult because it's hard for you to tap into the abstract, which is where all the thoughts and feelings live. Next is that your dreams are basic and realistic. So you may not have many fantasy dreams. It's like replaying actual things that are happening in your everyday life. Next is that you have decreased imagination. And there again, you're just not working with the abstract parts of your brain or your personality. You may have shut it down. The older we get, the more far removed we are from childhood, the less we play, right? There's more problems, there's more issues, there's more stress. So it makes sense that you may have just developed this tendency to be more logical just because that's how life is. And it's okay. And also you might have increased impulsivity. So you may be so focused on avoiding your feelings that you're going from one task to the next, which can make you seem impulsive. So another characteristic is that you rarely cry or yell, but you have that long fuse and you may erupt over small issues. So you stuff and stuff and stuff and you bottle up those emotions and you're putting on your game face all the time. You're not letting people see how difficult it is even to get through the day sometimes. And then you break a glass when you're emptying the dishwasher and you just completely lose yourself. You may have a complete breakdown because you're just so tired. You're so tired of stuffing all these things in all day long. The next is that you do distract yourself when you feel uneasy. Now, some people will do this through drugs and alcohol, shopping, gambling, a lot of numbing behavior. But what I see most often is that people are just going from one task to the next. So you may be working all day or doing schoolwork all day, and then when you're done, instead of allowing yourself to relax, you're looking for another project, or you're looking for something to keep your hands busy so that you don't have to process emotions or even get into your body and feel the emotions. So that's more commonly what I see, is just looking for other things to do. You may also overly focus on other people's problems so that you have the ability to avoid your own. Another is that you're uncomfortable around emotional people. Makes sense, right? If you don't have a level of comfort with your own emotions, when you're seeing it in other people, you kind of go into this mode of, what do I do? What do I say? It can feel very uncomfortable. Another is that you experience life from a third person perspective. So maybe when you're hanging out with friends or family, you kind of feel like you're on the outside, kind of feel like you're a black sheep and just kind of observing things. You might have a tendency to keep your crew really small. And another is that you avoid confrontation and you never want to address the cause of your emotions because it's totally scary, right? Yeah. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about, why am I like this? Where does this come from? So by and large, this comes from childhood and the way that we were taught about emotions, or even not taught about emotions. So this typically comes from the minimization, suppression, repression, and punishment of emotions. So some examples of this would be, stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about. That would be the punishment factor. Or, it's not that bad. It's okay. You're all right. Stuff it down. It's going to be okay. Or, you shouldn't be upset about that. There are far more bigger problems in the world. So there's a lot of ways that our parents, our caregivers, even our peers, mentors, coaches, teachers, and this isn't just with parents. I think parents always can get a bad rap in therapy, blame everything on your parents, and that's not always the case. It's an amalgamation of a lot of experiences in a world or a society where emotional literacy is really not taught. It's not emphasized. So again, that's not your fault. Another is that you get put in the middle of conflict. I see this a lot in families. Either you get stuck in between your parents and or your siblings. And what happens is that delivers the message to you that my emotions are either insignificant or secondary. The lesson that you learn there is that it's not safe to express emotions. So I've got to stuff them down. What's the use? It's not going to do me any good. I'm not going to get my needs met. So I got to figure out how to get my needs met on my own. Okay, so next video, we're going to talk a little bit about why emotional numbness is so hard to treat. And also I'll lead you through some exercises to start practicing feeling your emotions. See you soon.